Mangwanani Malelepo Vukenjani Klasvanave Africa. Welcome to Africa Good Morning, the news and current affairs show bringing you everything you need to know happening on the African continent and beyond. And I am especially happy this morning because Namibia's brave warriors have officially qualified for the AFCON Cup. I'm very excited.
I mean, I look forward to it. I mean, we're going to be wearing our Namibian
colors,
brave warriors
yes,
t-shirts,
yes,
supporting all the way.
Yeah, and as long as the jerseys look better than the checkers bags that the current Springboks are wearing, I'm for it.
Well, moving on. Here's what you can expect in today's broadcast. Protect the oceans to save us from drowning. Small islands, tell the UN Maritime Court. SA to join hands with China to build a research base on the moon. Denmark apologizes over decades of abuse of people with disabilities. Do stay tuned for these stories and more news on Africa Good Morning.
E-Ticket, your online ticket solution for events and event marketing, bringing you ease of mind and making sure that your event gets out there. For more information, contact events@nhom.na.
Getting into our top stories, leaders of small island states turned to the UN Maritime Court on Monday to seek protection of the world's oceans from catastrophic climate change, which threaten the very existence of entire countries. The 9 island states are asking the International Tribunal for the Law of the Sea to determine if carbon dioxide emissions absorbed by the oceans can be considered pollution, and if so, what obligations countries have to prevent it. This is the opening chapter in the struggle to change the conduct of the international community by clarifying the obligation of states to protect the maritime environment, said Prime Minister of Antigua and Barbuda, Gaston Brown. The time has come to speak in terms of legally binding obligations rather than empty promises that go unfulfilled, he said, addressing the court in Hamburg, Germany. Ocean ecosystems create half the oxygen humans breathe and limit global warming by absorbing much of the carbon dioxide emitted by human activities.
Now, SA to join hands with China to build a research base on the moon. Representatives of the space agencies of China and South Africa have signed a memorandum of understanding to cooperate on a project to build a research base on the moon. In a statement on their website on the 8th of September, the SA National Space Agency announced that under the MOU, China and South Africa would be cooperating extensively on the demonstration, implementation, operation, application, education and training for the International Lunar Research Station project. Now, Chinese ambassador to South Africa, Shen Jiadong, who was acting on behalf of the China National Space Administration, and Humbulani Madao, the head of SANSA, signed the MOU on the 1st of September and announced the agreement on their website last Friday. Now, South Africa's first formal entry of ILRS cooperation indicates that China-South Africa cooperation has been extended from near-Earth space to the moon and deep space beyond.
Now, the Danish government offered an apology on a Monday to thousands of people with disabilities who were abused in state-run facilities, including with forced sterilizations or sexual assaults beginning in the 1930s. From 1933 to 1980, around 15,000 children and adults with disabilities, including blindness, epilepsy, and physical or mental handicaps, were committed to the centers for various periods of time amid claims of protecting society, according to researchers who studied their cases. Danish law imposed sterilizations for psychiatric patients from 1929 to 1967, and until 1989 they had to obtain permission from the authorities to marry. An inquiry ordered by the previous Danish government in 2020 found a series of abuses at the centers that also included violence, psychological and sexual abuse, and serious flaws in medical treatments.
Swinging over to the House of Stone, Zimbabwe's Mnangagwa appoints son as Deputy Finance Minister in new cabinet. Zimbabwean President Emmerson Mnangagwa on Monday appointed his son as the Deputy Finance Minister and retained Mthuli Nkupe as the Finance Minister as he battles to rescue the country's ailing economy. The 80-year-old leader is under pressure to rebuild an economy hit by lack of foreign investment, unemployment, high inflation, and a local dollar which has plunged 80% this year. Mnangagwa won a second term in a disputed vote last month, which the opposition described as a gigantic fraud, amid criticism from election observers who say the election failed to meet regional and international standards. And ex-banker Nkupe himself has not been spared criticism after his economic policies failed to generate growth amid failure to repay foreign debt in excess of $17 billion. Mnangagwa appointed his son David Mnangagwa to be Nkube's deputy as part of the parliament's youth quota, while also announcing Zoda Zemo to head the mining ministry. Zemo replaced Winston Chitando as the mines minister, who headed the ministry since November 2017.
I guess for some people, charity truly begins at home. In the last of our top stories, more than half of the victims of the 31 August fire that gutted a hijacked building in the South African city of Johannesburg are still unidentified. The Gauteng Department of Health says that it has identified 18 more victims in addition to the initial 12, bringing the total number of bodies whose identities are known to 13. Motalatle Modiba, the spokesperson of the Gauteng Department of Health, said that the additional bodies were identified through forensic digital analysis of salvaged fingerprints of the victims and examinations of bodies by their family members. That brings us to the end of our top stories. More news on Africa Good Morning after the break.
Neo Paints has established a 67-year Namibian legacy, creating personalized paint solutions that blend quality and innovation for the Namibian people. We pride ourselves in being a 100% Namibian-owned company, investing in our country and our people by employing and empowering true Namibians. With every brushstroke, Neo Paints commits to our quality guarantee and always delivering a coat of excellence. At Neo Paints, we always stay true to our country. We are as Namibian as you.
Now, Nigerian student Oluyemi Sopade and his team have emerged victorious in the annual Kids Innovation Challenge hosted by the Destiny Trust. The team, all students at a local technical college, built an Arduino smart compost system capable of transforming food waste into manure. As Nigeria grapples with significant food shortages, the team believes that their innovation could have profound implications. Now, team member Uchendu David explained that their system enables farmers to convert waste into manure efficiently. Have a look.
What this project does is that it gets organic waste like our foods, our wasted foods, grass, spoiled yam, all sort of wasted foods, depending on the type. And then it can be able to turn this wasted food into compost manure. It can be able to turn it by itself, automated. So you have to just put in little or no effort in monitoring it.
And now we have met the contestants. Now we need to know what exactly are we here for.
This is the device that we made, and this is the sound sensor if the baby is crying. The GSM model to send.
So Cradle Care provides a system that reminds parents, sends them notification deployed to hospitals, and then parents that say that they act as guardians to their children. When they come and register their software, they begin a yearly subscription, which is 1,000 naira per child per year.
We came about an Arduino-based smart compost system with grinding and mixing. And this smart compost system with grinding and mixing machine can do a lot of things. When this organic manure is done in an industrial way and is being sold to the farmers, then we get our money from there.
Committing to this is a new generation of tech talents for today's event.
We have that choice today to give every child that opportunity to use technology ethically, to tell them this is the way to go, this is how it can improve the society. And when we fail to do that, one way or the other, somebody is going to teach them another use of technology, and that's the one that becomes a problem to everyone, to the industry, to the tech industry especially. We're talking about the activities of hackers, scammers, cyber attackers of all kinds. The problem is that we failed to catch them young, to teach them how technology can be used ethically. And that is where what we are doing is so significant.
This is an encouragement for us as Kingdom Tech. I will work towards more projects because of this amazing. Like we are happy about it.
Christopher Patrick Messi.
The event was very inspiring because when I was like 16, 17, what they presented today, I couldn't have ever thought of building something like that or presenting it. So it gives me, this kind of program and event gives me hope that, that the new generation, that they're all going into tech, and like getting the children involved in technology is going to really improve the state of our nation.
We have many tech talents that Africa can take advantage of. And our own work is to go and identify them, train them, and put them back into the economy.
Let's take a look at our weather predictions for Southern Africa before we get into your economic news.
Now, with the provision of a new swathe of new oil and gas exploration licenses and a crisis in offshore wind energy, clouds are gathering over the UK's net zero promises. The Conservative government of Rishi Sunak in July promised hundreds of new licenses for oil and gas exploration and production in the North Sea, arousing the anger of environmentalists. The NGO Greenpeace later covered the Prime Minister's private residence with a huge oil-black tarpaulin to denounce the drilling frenzy. Any government support for continuation of fossil fuels has a negative impact on the transition because it drives investors away. Eric Dalhulsen, co-founder of Aberdeen Climate Action, told AFP on the sidelines of the Offshore Europe conference in Aberdeen, Scotland this week. Opening new oil fields, I don't see how that's consistent with net zero, added Jean Boucher, a member of activist group Extinction Rebellion and an environmental sociologist.
Now, Emirates Airlines is set to resume its flight schedules to Nigeria, and the United Arab Emirates will lift the visa ban on Nigerian travelers This decision follows a meeting between President Bola Ahmed Tinubu of Nigeria and President Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan of the UAE in Abu Dhabi. Now, President Tinubu, who was returning from the G20 summit in India, had been actively seeking a resolution to the disagreements with Emirates Airlines and the visa issues faced by Nigerian travelers. Last year, the UAE suspended visa issuance to Nigerians due to difficulties in repatriating funds from Nigeria, which led to Emirates Airlines and Etihad Airlines suspending their flights to Nigeria.
That brings us to the end of our economic news on Africa. Good morning. We're going to head into the indicators before we return with the Brave Warriors.
We are so excited to be kickstarting your morning with entertainment.
Everything was happening during this past weekend.
Yes.
Exciting news. Wow, no, she was killing it already.
In my opinion, I don't see anything wrong with him serving the full term.
As well as keeping you informed on the issues that you need to know happening in and around our country.
Namibia's Brave Warriors have officially qualified to AFCON as runners-up in Group C after West African football powerhouse Cameroon beat Burundi 3-0 in Cameroon to book their spot at the 2024 Africa Cup of Nations. Cameroon finished top of the group on 7 points, while Namibia ended the qualifiers with 5 points. And that man on the screen is going to be responsible for all my hope and mental health throughout that entire AFCON. Let's go, Charlotte. Let's go.
Both of us. Indeed. Now getting into our next story, the Boks were so close to world #1 ranking after beating Scotland 18-3 in their Rugby World Cup Pool B clash in Marseille on Sunday. The Springboks narrowly missed out on supplementing Ireland at the top of the world rugby rankings. Now Ireland, who thumped Romania 82-8 in Bordeaux, remain narrowly on top with 91.82 rating points.
Like I said, the checkers colors look nice on Springboks. Now, Juventus's France midfielder Paul Pogba has been provisionally suspended after testing positive for a banned substance, Italy's National Anti-Doping Tribunal said on Monday. The test performed after Juve's 3-0 Serie A season-opening victory at Udinese on August 20 detected testosterone, a hormone that increases athletes' endurance. In acceptance of the instance proposed by the National Anti-Doping Prosecutor, it has provided for the provisional suspension of athlete Paul Labile Pogba, Nado Italia said in a statement. The tribunal said Pogba had violated anti-doping rules when they found the prohibited substance.
Now in our next story, Russian President Vladimir Putin accused the International Olympic Committee on Tuesday of politicizing sport as it weighs a decision on Russian athletes' participation in next year's Games in Paris. Russians are facing the likelihood of having to compete under a neutral flag in Paris because of Putin's invasion of Ukraine. The IOC has taken no final decision but said athletes should not be punished for the acts of their governments. French President Emmanuel Macron said last week that no Russian flag should fly at the Games. Putin was asked about the issue at a forum in Russia's Far East and responded by referencing the ideals of the Frenchman who founded the modern Olympics. I think that today's leadership of international federations, the International Olympic Committee itself, they distort the original idea of Pierre de Coubertin. Sport should be outside of politics.
Interesting. How good is your French?
Not that good.
Not that good?
Yes.
For real? Bonjour, ça va? Ça
Oh,
va,
no, no.
MC?
I
You
can
know
say,
that?
yeah, the bonjour.
Yeah, I've been
yes.
practicing my French. Cabernet Sauvignon, Sauvignon Blanc, Shiraz, and all the other wines that come from France. But there's someone who's getting a better taste of French culture and, of course, keeping an eye on the Valviches as they seek to improve their World Cup rugby standing. Please have a look at Ari Hogard in France as he brings us the latest from the Rugby World Cup.
Good day everyone, time for international sports news and Rugby World Cup sports news all the way here from Marseille. And it is week 2 of World Cup 2023. It's all systems go. It's a few days now that there's no games. It is the Namibian team that's still based in Lyon, and they will fly on Wednesday. They will fly to Toulouse, where they play on Friday against New Zealand. A tough game for Namibia coming up. First game, of course, they played against Italy, 52 points to 8. Italy winners in that game, and coach Alistair Coetzee quite confident that the team can improve for the game against New Zealand. Also, what's been happening or trending in the news is the referees, and it will always be, it's not a new thing, referees been trending about for roughly 100 years in world rugby, so it's been trending all the time, in schools rugby, in club rugby, and also in World Cup rugby. Referees are trending. So it was specifically the Wales-Fiji game that it was discussed quite a bit. It was Wales that got 17 penalties. It was Fiji just 9, but it was more the fact that Wales got consecutive penalties and not more than 1 yellow card. That was the issue. And also then in the South Africa-Scotland game, it was Jesse Creel that had also a head collision, or he made contact with a opposing player's head. That wasn't taken up for review. So that's all in the news.
Welcome to What's Cooking, where culinary passion meets expert insights.
Somebody must really want to cook and want to cook good food.
Immerse yourself in the bustling world of professional kitchens as top chefs create mouthwatering dishes. Join us for in-depth interviews as our host explores the experiences and expertise of our guest chefs. Don't miss out. Tune in to What's Cooking on NTV every Friday at 2100 hours and let the culinary adventure begin.
Good evening and welcome to Sunset News.
Dutch stays in list A in his speech, rate in taxes, and how much.
After the break, we take a look at the sports.
We bring you
economic indicators, tomorrow's weather and sports. I am Aina Raiza Kweyong.
Let's get into the highlights from this morning's broadcast. Protect the oceans to save us from drowning small islands, tell the UN Maritime Court. South Africa to join hands with China to build a research base on the moon. Denmark apologizes over decades of abuse of people with disabilities. Oil permits and wind crisis threaten UK net zero pledge. And of course, Namibia's brave warriors have officially qualified for AFCON.
And on that note, with that, we've come to the end of our broadcast. Thank you for joining us on this lovely Wednesday morning. From me, Glenn Rashipura.
And me, Ashwin Berry, Swereja Kanaka.